Here we are again with another live event roundup, and I have to say, out of all the ones we've seen recently, this one was by far the best, and I'm not even into AOS. It kicked off with a cinematic, and it was one that I'd recognised from the trailer from Warhammer Plus, and it looked absolutely amazing. It was all about how the Stormcast get ready for war, and then they go to war, and then the Lord Celestant got shot by a crossbow, and he just seemed to die a bit easily. We got to see the reforging process, like how he died and shot back up to Azur. This box, just like Indomitus, is filled with all new models. There's not one model from the old range, which is fantastic. The biggest news for me was that Indrasta, one model that I really did want to pick up from Warhammer Fest, and that is Sigmar's Beast Killer, is in the box, which is incredible. I love this model and I will have a lot of fun painting it up. Next we've got the Lord Imperatant, who is a tactician, and he looks great. I thought his helmeted head is a wee bit too narrow. I don't think a full head would fit inside it, so I think I would build him unhelmeted definitely. It's a wee bit disrespectful. He comes with a Griffhound and he's got a Griff Charger on his shoulder, so I didn't think that was particularly well thought out. Next we've got the Knight Arcanum, who I would go the opposite way and use the helmeted head because I think it looks absolutely awesome. She does deadly arcano meteorological magic. Try saying that 5 times fast. Another great model. Next we've got the Knight Vexillor with the banner of Apotheosis, and it looks amazing. I much prefer this banner style than the triangle banners we've seen before. This one just looks so much better. And we've got Praetors next, which are fantastic models. I absolutely love these. I think up until the very end of this presentation, these were my favourite models in it, so I hope you like them as much as I do. There's 3 that come with the set, and they're all wearing Thunderstrike armour. Next up we've got the Annihilators, which are the huge, heavily armoured Stormcast guys, and their shields are just amazing, and they've got meteoric hammers. I love these guys as well. These were my favourite Stormcast, and then the Praetors kind of edged them out. We've got the Vindictors next, which we saw at Warhammer Fest, and while they're lovely models, they're probably the weakest ones out of this Stormcast bunch. So the new faction we've all been waiting to hear about, it's the Kruleboyz, and they are orcs. They fight dirty, they backstab, they use every dirty trick in the book. All their magic is sneaky and horrible and just filthy. So that's kind of how they fight, and all their units are geared towards fighting in a really dirty manner. The first model we saw was a Killer-Boss on Great Gnashtooth, which is a big weasel-like mount. It looks a bit like the orc mounts from Lord of the Rings. I really like it. The thing that you'll notice about all these guys is they've got shields and they've got red faces on them, and that is meant to be Kragnos. So they all worship Kragnos, and all the imagery points towards that, so it's really cool. There's a Swamp Caller Shaman next, and he's got a big Gargant skull on his back, and it looks really good. It's moulded in, so you'll be able to paint it really easily. There's also a Hand of Mork on his staff, but he isn't the star of the show in this model. It's the Pot Grot, and the Pot Grot has a little cauldron, and what he can do is he can stir up his cauldron, and he can bring a bit of the swamp with him, so he's a buffer for the army, and he looks really cool. I think everyone loved this guy. Next is another killer boss on foot, and he's got a stab grot. So what happens is the killer boss fights someone, the stab grot sneaks around the back of the guy and stabs him in the back. The stab grot is basically a mini version of the killer boss, so he's almost got all the same armour, and he's using a shoulder plate from the boss as his shield, which is really quite funny. I love wee touches like that. Next one up is the Murknob with Belcher banner, and the banner has a large tongue coming out of it, and it looks disgusting. There's human heads hanging off it. It just looks horrible, and the banner belches swamp gas for months and months after it's made, so that brings a bit of the swamp with it as well, just like the pot grot. So I think all these mists and swamps that they bring with them are going to be part of the mechanics for them. And the guys that shot the Lord Celestant in the trailer are called Manskewer Bolt Boys, and they have got massive crossbows, and they can punch through armour like it's not even there. They've got 2 types of shots, so they've got hasty shot and aimed shots, and aimed shots give mortal wounds. Gut Rippers are the rank and file boys, so what they do is they're really loud, they swear, they're rude to their enemies, and they distract them, all the while grots go up behind the enemies and backstab them again. So all these things have been really well thought out, and I actually love the imagery of all this stuff. We've got the Hobgrot Slitters now, and these were almost my favourite models, and I don't know why. I think it's because I used to have a lot of hobgoblins with my Chaos Dwarf army, and these guys look quite similar. They use scrap grenades, which are just grenades made out of anything, and they're quite well armoured, and there's 2 units of 10 in the box. So that's it for the minis. In the box there's 60 minis, there's the core book, and just like Indomitus there's no writing on the front or anything like that, it's just a clean picture, and my Indomitus one looks fantastic and I don't see any reason why this shouldn't be the same. There's data cards, and there's also War at Amber Watch, which is a battle in a box, so you'll be able to fight with all these models and play scenarios and things like that, even without playing the full game of Age of Sigmar. All the models are push fit, so you won't need any glue, although it's still recommended to cut the pins off and just glue them normally. Sometimes they don't butt up together properly and they leave big gaps. Here's the bad news. They're limited stock. This is not going to be the starter box that you can pick up anytime. It's going to be available for pre-order in June, but you'll have to get in early, because if it's anything like all the other boxes like Indomitus and all that, which I know went made to order, but that was only after a lot of complaining, then this is going to go straight away. So get in early, get your box, be happy, or order it from your friendly local game store. That seems to be the way to go. So from what's new, rules wise, there were 8 points presented by Sigmar. So they were best rule set ever. I would be highly disappointed if it wasn't. All new heroic actions, new monster actions in the charge phase to make them more monster-like, more command points if you go second, reactive command abilities so you're not just sitting there waiting for your opponent to take a turn, you'll always have something to do. Endless spells are back, different core battalions and new abilities to make army building a bit more exciting. And we've got the ultimate narrative campaign, Path to Glory, so you'll build your guys up through a campaign which is just like Crusade mode in 40k. They weren't finished there, there were extra models out with the box that will presumably go on sale at the same time as the box, and they were the Knight Judicator with Griffhounds, which seems to be a Stormcast with a bow and a couple of Griffhounds. Really nice looking model. And then the one which is actually my model of the reveal was the Stormstrike Chariot. I love this. It just looks straight out of Gladiator, and I will be picking a couple of these up whether I take on an army or not. For the Kruleboyz, we've got the Beast Skewer Kill Bow, which is a giant crossbow, and it can take down big beasties from anywhere in the battlefield. Last of all, we've got the Breaker Boss on Mire Brute Trogoth, and that is a big troll with a boss on its back. I really like this model. Probably won't get it, but I really like it. And to finish it all off, there's a Dominion novel as well. So if you want to learn more about the setting, get the novel. Now, this is one of the best looking box sets I've seen for a while. It might even top Indomitus, I'm not quite sure. It's really made me consider starting an EOS army, and I don't know which one I would pick. I don't know if I would pick Stormcast or the Kruleboyz. I would want to do the Stormstrike Chariots, but I also really like the Kruleboyz, so it's a good position to be in anyway. I hope you enjoyed this little roundup. If you did, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks very much.